Hello, I am Anavultus, and welcome to a live-streamed podcast. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Mourad, as always, and welcome back to my weekly podcast session with friends. Today's guest is Anavultus,
Yes.
a new member.
We're each other's guests.
Yes.
All right, so did you have a hot topic, spicy meme ready for the action today?
I mean, besides the Rick Astley memes that you send me literally every time we talk, I really don't got that many memes. I'm not that much of a meme person.
Yeah, some quite dank Rick Astley memes, if I do say so myself. But
yes, the best quality.
Oh yeah, nothing but the best here. In this podcast, we know how to serve everyone right. So, other than that, was there anything in particular that you were interested in?
Well, not necessarily. Usually, this is just the equivalent of a test run.
All right. You're asking me to show video. Are you willing to be seen on stream?
Yeah, every time.
All right.
Every time.
There you go. Hopefully that doesn't lag out my encoder. Oh, my encoder is overloaded. Oh, well.
All right, I'll turn it off if that's a problem. Usually these things are like listened to in a different window, so you don't necessarily need the video. You just need the audio. So I'll just turn it off.
Yeah, let me just see what I can do in my task manager. I might be able to increase the priority of OBS so that it doesn't get overloaded. There we go. Go to details and OBS 64.exe, set priority above normal, change priority. That should help a bit. Are you still?
Yeah, all right. Do you want me to test it?
No, it's not too big of a deal because the audio should still go through pretty well. In addition to that, the main problem is just going to be on the video itself. But I think the audio should still be working fine. Let me just test it. No, it's not too big of a deal.
So
all right.
I guess I'll just
Test
keep it on
successful.
my end.
Yeah.
That should be the better part. I'll keep it on my end. Because for me, it's already recording the camera and the audio in sync because I have that set to default. So it should work for my end. So I won't bother it on your end so it doesn't glitch the live stream.
Yeah, it's all right. It's just that my computer doesn't have a lot of processing power, so whenever I try to encode and stream at the same time, it ends up really messing around with my encoding. But anyway, so no spicy memes, not today?
No spicy memes. I mean, I got spicy music, but no spicy memes.
All right. So let's say, what is a hot anime that you are watching today?
Oh, great. We're going with the anime.
Yeah.
Actually, here's the funny part about this. I'm not actually watching any anime.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm watching anime, but like none of the new ones. I'm watching the old classics.
I like classics. Right now I'm watching Inuyasha. That's not a newer one, but and not too old.
I know which one they're talking about.
Yeah.
Funny thing, I've ever watched like 3 episodes of that and then stopped.
Yeah, it's an interesting story.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Usually the cliche types, those are the ones that start the cliches, and then pretty much every new anime just borrows the cliches, and then it gets too used to it, and it starts getting boring. It's one of those things where the more experience you have, the less fun it actually is.
But then again, if it's an earlier one, I can't really say that the cliche is really a cliche contextually yet at that point. It's sort of like saying that the first instance of something is a trend when it's only the first instance. I would say that, however, that being said, the writer of Inuyasha is also the same person that wrote Ranma 1/2 before that, as well as Urusei Yatsura before that. So I guess
that explains the art style of Ranma 1/2. Yeah, they sound a lot alike.
Yeah,
and those are the big cliche ones. Yeah, actually, I wanted to watch that show, but then after realizing that it's just cliche central, I just stopped. You can say I'm not a big fan of tsunderes.
Well, I think it's not so much cliche central as it is more the show that really defined what the cliches are.
Yeah, that's what I meant by cliche central. It's literally just the cliches. It's like it's the one that made it in the first place, which is the case. So, you know.
Yeah, and at that point, can you really say that it's a cliche? I don't know. But I guess by now it certainly is. So what is your favorite cliche?
My favorite cliche?
Yeah.
I would have to go with the shonen cliche.
Shonen cliche? Yeah.
You know, the one with Shonen Jump, the classic hero's tale, or hero's journey.
Oh, hero's journey. Classics. Yeah, that's a really old cliche.
Piece, Dragon Ball. Yeah, well, remember, the classics are always the best.
So yeah, that's a classic meme right there. But I would say that, of course, as old as a cliche it is, it certainly is a very effective one, the hero's journey. You see it from the Epic of Gilgamesh all the way thousands of years ago, all the way up to Star Wars. That's a new cliche, Star Wars. Do you know about Star Wars?
Yeah, I know about Star Wars. You can never not know about Star Wars at this point.
Yeah.
Especially with The Last Jedi and, like, all the extra movies.
Yeah, so
the fact that one of the creators was the worst, and, you know, the directors was pretty bad.
What?
And, of course, Jar Jar Binks. You can never forget about that guy, as much as I want to do.
Okay, so, thinking about Star Wars, I'm going to get into some spicy meme right here. I've got a spicy meme for you. Are you ready for this?
Of course you do.
All right.
Yes, I'm always ready for spicy.
All right. One of my favorite Star Wars movie, believe it or not, this is going to be really controversial. It is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
And to be even more controversial, I've never actually watched a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Ever.
But I'll just give you the hint as to why it's controversial. That's the one with Jar Jar in it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. You see, it's one of those situations where you don't even know what the show is to know its memes. That's kind of the thing I'm here for, to be honest. It's like, just like with Star Trek and Star Wars and all of the debates between who's better, who's worse, you don't even need to know the show. You just need to know the memes and you kind of get the plot. Give me a second, someone's calling.
All right.
All right, I'm back.
All right. So as I was saying, it's one of those things where Jar Jar is meant to be a character for young children. And I have to say that when I was young and I watched that movie, I didn't actually mind Jar Jar. He wasn't that bad. And
yeah, because it's like the first experience. You don't really see it as that bad until you see all the hate about it, and then you either start asking why all the hate or go on the bandwagon and see why it's so hateful.
And I've come to the point where now I see a lot of people don't like Jar Jar, and I know where they're coming from, and I know what they're saying, but at the same time, I sort of disagree in that I still like Jar Jar. I think he's an okay character, and it's come to the point where the meme is to hate Jar Jar, but my meme is that I just can't help but say, man, I'm okay with this. I like this. This is my favorite Star Wars, and it's better than Ewoks. But all right, so let's talk about something you probably do know a lot about. Full Metal Alchemist.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, what's the spicy meme there for you? What's your meme?
You know what's the spiciest meme?
What?
It's the one that everyone either loves or hates, depending on which way you look at it. It's the dad.
The dad?
Not their dad. Not their dad. The dad that dies in the anime.
The dad that dies.
You know, the one with the lovable daughter that he keeps showing pictures to everyone.
Oh, yeah, that military dude.
Yeah, and you know the best part?
The best part?
Yeah.
What's the best part?
That's gonna be me in like 10 years. Not even kidding. That's literally me. Even to the point where if a nigga talks to my daughter, I'm literally bringing a gun right next to his face. Like, immediately, not even hesitating. I would shoot a nigga right in the face.
Yeah.
Make a move, get shot. That's the rules.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that in the next few years, you're going to have children, and somebody might threaten you, and then you're going to get killed.
To be honest, yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much? Wow.
Yeah, not really, but you get the idea. It's like the personality and the way you act in certain situations, pretty much accurate to mine. And seriously, if I get shot or get hunted down, that's going to be my reaction.
All right. Just a moment. Allow me to see. I'm getting an incoming call. And, okay, no problem there. Just a quick phone ring, a little phone meme. I hope the microphone picked that up. I'm sure everybody will enjoy it. It's a really classic ringtone. And the reason it's a really classic standard ringtone is because this is literally a wireless version of a landline phone that I'm holding right now. It's got little prongs at the bottom where it goes into a little alcove to charge up, and you pick it up and you do the calls on it, and it wirelessly connects to this alcove, and that then is plugged into the landline. And that's about as advanced as my telephone technology is. What about your telephone technology?
That sounds like the best technology right there. The classics mixed with the modern, that's the best. Wireless networking and calling, but at the same time, the same sweet dialect, you know what I'm saying? Like the dial tones, the ringing, always classic and pretty.
Yeah, but it's not a smartphone. It's literally just a regular phone.
Well, that's what phones are usually. Like, they're for calls. Usually just the reason the smartphone and the iPad were a thing is because pets and kids, wanted to play with them. They wanted something more entertaining out of their dial-up phones. So that's why they got all the new apps. Yeah,
you gotta give some entertaining phones to those dogs. They really like that.
It's either that or walking them outside and making them poop on someone's lawn. You see which type you want. Either pay the battery bills or pay the dog bills. You know what I'm saying?
Man, my dog poops on my own lawn.
Yes, that sounds like the best kind.
Yeah. I bet it tastes bad too. So anyway,
what the hell? What, did you taste it first?
No, I said I bet it tastes bad. I mean, just imagine that you're giving a dog some dog food, and it's made out of some generic nutrients, and then the dog digests that.
I don't give a dog dog food. I don't ever.
Oh, I give
him real food.
Real food?
Sadly, I can't give him cake, for the birthday and stuff. Because you can't feed chocolate to a dog. Otherwise, we'd have the best ice cream parties ever. But, no, seriously, like, with your dog on the couch, watching Star Wars, laughing at Jar Jar Binks, and eating ice cream, that sounds like the best weekend. But no, I give him, like, something like pancakes or something like that. Homemade stuff, the kind of stuff that your mom makes.
Yeah.
Those, everyone loves them, even dogs. They would love to eat grandma's cookies, trust me.
Yeah, my dog is going a bit senile recently. It's the old age. Is about when you calculate dog years, she's about in her 90s, and she's starting to lose her senses and to sort of become more confused nowadays. And it's estimated that it's probably got less than a year left to live.
That's sad, but realistic.
Yeah, it happens. That's what.
Usually, my way of kind of fixing that problem is one of two ways. Either get a dog that's going to be like 15 years old before he dies, so that way it's like childhood friend, right? That you move on to, and then get a new one that's also 15. So at least it's not that kind of situation like it was in the old days, where the most a dog can live is just 1 year, and it just kept being sad. You either don't have a dog or get one every year, so it kept messing kids up.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a new dog. What I'm saying is that I've had this dog for a very long time, and now it's finally getting old and dying.
No, I know that. It's like, in my opinion, the best way, like for a dog, for you to get a dog is one of those two ways. Either get one that's really like 15 years, so you can have a decent relationship, right? Or have it one of those ways where it's always like you're the godfather. You have a dog, you have a female dog, you get the kids, and then you have another female dog over, and keep doing that.
Yeah, I had a cat a while back too, and then the cat, we had to put it down. It had some severe cancer.
Yeah, same with ours. We had one, but it didn't have that. I think it was just like food poisoning. So you kind of had to put it down because unlike humans with food poisoning, this digestive system is too small and too weak with immunity, so it couldn't even handle it. It's like feeding it Chipotle, except even worse.
Yeah, recently, actually, not too long ago, just this last year, my dog had a brief issue with food poisoning, and that's because it seems that a bird had somehow died, and its carcass was in my yard. So then the dog found it and tried to eat some of it, and got a bit poisoned and ended up vomiting.
Yeah, that's actually one of the weirder parts. For some reason, dogs love to eat just about everything, even the stuff that you shouldn't eat.
Yeah, like chocolate and grapes.
Wait, you can't feed them grapes?
Nope.
Well, either my dog is Superman or I just fucked up, so I don't know.
Well, it is poisonous to some extent, but
I don't have one, but there are multiple that are with me from time to time. So multiple dogs. So yeah, I must have really had a bunch of super dogs because it's 5 or 6 times. So I don't know.
Yeah, and my dog
none of them had any issues.
My dog is also allergic to wheat, so we have a rice-based food that we give it.
Cool. Make sure to feed it cookies and pancakes. Those are really delicious for dogs. I actually tried it once.
Well, I said it's allergic to wheat, so.
Oh, you use wheat in those? Okay. We use something slightly different. I'm not really sure what, but never mind.
Yeah, just a moment.
All the trade secrets.
Just a moment. I need to take a quick break. Hello.
Hey, hold up. You paused the live stream?
Yeah, I paused the live stream.
Well, do you want me to pause my recording first? Because I kind of recorded the conversation.
You can cut that out.
Yeah, okay, I'll cut that. I'll make sure to cut that out.
Just cut the part where I stop.
Yeah, and trip and almost fall down. You okay, by the way? It sounded like you almost fell down.
Oh, no, that's because, this is actually a very interesting thing here. I've got a little plastic mat that my chair's on in front of my desk, and the problem is that over the years, it's gotten torn up by me constantly moving the chair around. So whenever and also the way it's set up, the way my desk is set up, I can't actually stand up where I'm sitting. So I have to back out and turn around in order to stand up. And the problem is, because the plastic mat is so torn up, it means that every time it makes a whole ton of noise whenever I do that.
Yeah, for me it sounded like you jumped backwards and then did a backflip off of your chair and landed.
Well, that's not exactly what I did, but it might as well have been what I did.
Yeah, it sounds like the better option, rather than saying you fell on your ass.
All right, so back into the action. So
yes, back into the never-ending action.
Action movies. Have you seen any cool movies lately?
Not really. I mean, I usually just play video games and watch anime.
All right. So
So,
what's the hot video game nowadays? What's cool where you live?
well, there's actually a really cool video game I wanted to play, but couldn't because my computer's crap. It turns out all I needed was a little bit of RAM, and I couldn't run it, but it didn't work out for me. So yeah, it's Persona 5.
Oh, Persona. I've never played any of the Persona games, so I
Me
don't really know
neither.
what they're about.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're about either. But the fifth game is kind of the best so far. Don't kill me. So people are like, every newcomer nowadays is just jumping straight into 5. The good thing about it, it's like it's one of those games where you don't need to know anything about the previous games to play this one. In fact, it's better that you don't know anything about the previous games because for them to explain it to newcomers, the first like 3 hours of the game are just explaining stuff that you should already know if you played the other games. So I would suggest playing it. It's a pretty fun game. One problem, well, one good thing, but a problem in most people. It's a 100-hour game.
100-hour game. Wow.
Yeah, it's like an RPG and a life simulator. So a lot of stuff gets confusing. The reason it's 100 hours is because if you're interested in dialogue, that's where most of the game is. But if you aren't, well, you can't skip it because if you do, you miss out on most of the game. But that's how you cut the hours down, I guess.
Yeah. Well, 100 hours for a story-driven game is very impressive. I would say that overall, I've played. I play RuneScape, so 100 hours to me is, well, not a lot.
Same here. Trust me, 100 hours just sounds like my weekend.
Oh man, yeah. Especially if you're playing RuneScape, where 100 hours of RuneScape essentially might be just doing an endlessly repetitive task just to see your numbers go up a tiny bit.
But, I mean, in my opinion, Persona 5 is one of the only really good RPGs because it doesn't have the grind. I mean, it has the grind, but like it's one of those things where grinding and doing the same thing over and over again is not tedious. It's more fun than anything else. It kind of made it fun for people. So it's one of those only RPGs that you would consider playing for 100 hours.
Yeah. Well, I guess other RPGs, maybe Elder Scrolls, are long games that don't have too much of a grind to them.
I mean, in this one, 50% of it, or 70%, give or take, is just the story. And if you're interested, which is really interesting, like an interesting story, then yeah, you're gonna have a good time. The other 30% is just fighting monsters. So it's up to you whether you want the grind or to just hack it. Like, by hacking it, I mean just like buying DLC that completely breaks the game.
So tell me what you know about the story of Persona. Is there anything you know at all?
Well, I know the entire story, but I don't want to spoil it.
Oh.
To give you an indication, every Persona game has a protagonist that's kind of the same. It's an Anon, basically. It's one of those protagonists that's always quiet and has a lot of sass.
Yeah,
but basically because it's you.
Yeah, it's a self-insert.
You kind of put your self-insert because most of it is just responses to dialogue options. Otherwise, the guy doesn't talk at all, or just makes funny quotes or quips. So usually it's up to the person to play as it. There are 3 things that are in every Persona protagonist, I guess.
Yeah.
You okay, man?
Yeah. It's my chair. My chair's squeaky.
Yeah, I know. I kind of got scared. Thought you were going to fall down again.
It's a bit of a meme.
Yes, memes. The first thing is that he's the most OP character, of course. The second is that he gets all of the women, right? And third, he's the one who, in this one, gets beaten up the most. So, basically, the 3 most important parts of the game. When it comes to finding kind of, JoJo, right?
Yeah, I know JoJo.
So basically,
the
characters
JoJo.
have personas, and the closest thing to them are the stands, basically.
Okay.
Like from JoJo.
Yeah.
The thing about the protagonist...
You're not the one to talk. I know more about JoJo than you do.
No, I know that. I just asked so I can use this example because I'm not sure if you will get it.
Yeah, I understand.
You got it. You got it. It's okay. Like I said, it's usually stands, basically. That's what their persona are. The character, the main one, can use every stand in the game, like multiple of them, and has like 10 at his disposal at any time. So that's kind of the key thing. He's the trickster who can use, and the trump card who can use every persona or every stand ever. That's kind of the main thing, the combat. The second thing, the women, is the confidants. Basically, it's social links, like connecting with people on the game and having conversations with them, improving the relationship, and getting kind of buffs in the game for them,
Oh, okay. I understand.
His specialty is that he can literally just have a relationship with every female in the game and either date all of them at once, none of them, or one at a time. So that's kind of the whole idea. The third was that he's the one who gets beaten up the most. By that, I mean he's the one who fights the most in the game in general, because you can't switch the main one out, but everyone else is either disposable or you can switch them out at any time. Thanks to the fifth one, XP is gained through all teammates, so you don't have to keep switching or preferring one over the other.
All right.
It's pretty good in my opinion.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you want the story, I can kind of tell you, but I'm not sure if I have the best explanation of it.
All right. Yeah, at least it's probably not as complicated as JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6 with Dio's toe bone growing into a green baby that then merges with the stand of a prison chaplain who then goes on to...
I'm still confused about this JoJo plot. The more you talk about it, the more confused I get rather than the last.
It's bizarre. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, because of the adventure, it's supposed to be bizarre, but not to this extent.
Yeah.
I mean, Persona's story is a lot more straightforward. Oh, also one thing in common, thanks to the life simulator, it's always 1 year. Like the whole game, it always takes place in 1 year time. Nothing more, nothing less. So you kind of have a whole year in the game to do things in the game. Like manage time, I guess. It's one of the better aspects of the game, but one of the more frustrating because you can only do certain things at certain times or certain amounts of things at certain times. So it kept messing up with the gameplay a little bit. It's not a bad thing, just if you're a perfectionist like me or time management and king like you with RuneScape. So,
So does that mean that if you don't actually beat the main villain by the end of the year, it's game over, or what?
Actually, no. Well, to not spoil it, it's actually game over in the middle of the game. Basically, you gather up teammates, right? At the halfway point in the game, you kind of got all of them, if I'm not mistaken. And at the halfway point, someone betrays you. Well, I can say this because that's the start of the game. It starts 6 months in advance of you being betrayed by someone, and when it starts, it kind of tells you the backstory of what happened the last 6 months, of who you got along the way, how did you get this strong, how did your teammates happen, who betrayed you, and stuff like that. And basically, the whole idea is to find out who betrayed you, beat them up, and then kind of beat the final boss in the next 6 months, basically.
Yeah, and if you don't do that in the required amount of time, what happens?
I'm not sure because I haven't played the game yet, and no one ever, completes the game without beating the final boss. Because, like scripted, you kind of have to beat him.
Okay, so it forces a confrontation. Eventually?
I mean, it doesn't force it. You can just not do it, but usually your teammates will not stop bothering you about, hey, we have 5 days left before we're dead. Get this over with, and they just kept doing that until that. Usually that's what it is with those things. Sometimes you can have a lot of extra time to do the mission. Sometimes you don't have enough time. And most of the time, they just kept bothering you until you go there anyway. Or you just say no until the final day. You get expelled. That's the first boss. You get expelled from school if you lose. and then just game over, and then sends you back a week to do the mission anyway. So
Yeah. I guess it sort of reminds me of Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, where there is a limited time in game for all the events to happen, and if you don't beat the game by the end of that time period, then the time goes back. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's the same with this one, because you kind of have to beat him. You see, basically, it has multiple endings, but usually two. It's either you finish the entire game, beat the final boss, and win, or you don't kind of finish the halfway through the game, and then you get killed anyway. Basically, the way it works is this: it's the letting your opponent think he wins, only for you to backstab him type of situation. That's what they have in the middle of the game. Your opponent is going to kill you, so the best way for you to fix that is to follow up with their plan. The plan is make it think that you're dead, only to backstab them later, and that's basically the whole thing. This is where you kind of need to beat the game, because otherwise you would die 6 months in advance, and yeah, pretty much you kind of finished the game early.
Yeah. So, let's shift gears a bit. What do you think about? What are your thoughts on Donald Trump?
My thoughts on Donald Trump? Well, not really much. It's one of those things where it's like he's racist, he hates Mexicans, he's gonna kick everybody out of the country, especially Muslims. So I don't care for him and I don't like him, but it's not one of those things where it's like absolute rage. It's more like I don't care because at this point it's just memes, you know? Like, I mean, he's doing some bullshit and I don't like it. But at the same time, it's not that thing where you always gotta have an opinion on the situation. Sometimes most people just say, "Okay, that's it."
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of misinformation about Donald Trump. And I'm not just talking about people talking negatively about him, as in the fake news whole thing. But what I'm saying is that very frequently people like to take things he says out of context just because they don't like him. And and that being said, I don't think, and I've actually made a whole video about this, I don't think that Donald Trump is as racist as a lot of people say he is.
I mean, it's one of those situations, for me at least, where unless it's personally going to be against you, then you kind of let it slide. You know what I mean? Like those, same with news. Unless you're the one being exposed or you're the one being framed, you don't care. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is that when I actually look at what Donald Trump has done and what he has said, I don't actually think he's a racist.
I mean, me too. I don't really think he's a racist, but actions speak louder than words. And as far as I can tell, it's one of two situations. Either he just does not care what he's doing, and he can be racist if he wants, or it's one of those things where the media vilifies everyone and kind of controls what you see. So that's kind of my opinion on his racism. It's either he does not care, so he can be racist, or not. Like, for him, it doesn't matter what you think. Or he's actually not racist at all. Just people are like, yeah, this guy's racist because he's from a different country and hates our country, so we immediately hate him back. Type of situation.
Yeah, I think
so. You know,
I think it's
this is actually why I say I don't care until it affects me, because so far it's a lot of blabbing. Basically, it's a lot of fake news, fake rants, and just overall misinformation. So until he shows up and gives me the accurate information, then it's basically just a lot of hoopla, basically.
Yeah, and that's the problem, however. The problem is that a lot of people aren't actually willing to check these claims out that people make about X person being racist or X person being bigoted in some way for themselves. A lot of people just take what they hear and they then run with it. So
yeah, this is actually why I never listen to anything Fox News has to say ever, or news in general. Like unless I'm looking into it, then everything else I don't believe. Basically,
Yeah.
it's one of those situations where it's very, very easy to misform everyone about anything, and I mean literally anything, because this is the internet. So unless you're doing the research for yourself, then pretty much don't believe anyone else.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that when you actually learn for yourself and you listen to the speeches that he makes and the actual actions that he takes, he is not a racist, or at least not in any ideological or overt sense of the word.
Yeah, I mean, I have a similar opinion to yours. Like I said, I don't really think he's that racist. I think it's either he just does things that seem racist, but he doesn't intend them to be that way, or he just doesn't do them at all, and people just assume he does. It's one of those things where what you do and what people think you do are two completely different things, you know? It's one of
Yeah.
those 4chan and 8chan type situations where people would start drama about absolutely nothing or just straight up lies that they made up, like someone's being suicidal, or the PewDiePie situation where he's racist and stuff like that. They practically build up, it's kind of amazing in my opinion. They build up an entire like universe's worth of stories out of literal nothing. It's quite amazing. It's like they build their own like story or like reality out of literally nothing but either lies or just fabricated things.
Yeah,
It's kind of amazing in my opinion.
and before people say that I'm taking Donald Trump's side too strongly here, I'd just like
No
to
one takes
say,
anyone's side. Those people are just like either literal crybabies that whenever it's someone else's opinion that differs from theirs, they take it extremely, or they need a lot of sugarcoating. So don't worry about that. I never do.
what I'm saying here is that the same thing occurs the other way around as well. In
Yeah, that's
that
true.
a lot of times when someone who's on the American left, which isn't necessarily the same as the left is in many other places, whenever someone does this, that, or the other policy, someone on the right will accuse that person of being a communist, which in many cases isn't true. Although in some cases it is, in many cases it isn't. And the same thing is what's happening to Donald Trump. People are calling him a racist, a fascist, and all that, when that's not actually what he's doing.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. It's one of those things where people are kind of insane. What I mean by that is those kind of people that hate on him for being racist also are the ones who's saying he's racist. They're the kind of people that need something to complain about, so they create their own boogeyman, basically, just so they can have something to either complain about or look at, so they can feel better about their own lives, basically.
And unfortunately,
you know what I mean?
yeah, and unfortunately, it seems like to me, this type of behavior is what's eventually going to tear the United States apart.
Yeah, at this point, I'm even surprised it's still standing, like, not even seriously. It's one of those situations where you really gotta value their willpower. Like, when 70% of the country literally are crybabies, you gotta be, like, surprised at how strong the other 30% are, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
you know,
hard.
what I meant by the fabrication situation. A lot of people just need something to complain about, that they keep like talking about feminism, racism, and all that stuff. Especially with LGBT, like some of those people are still complaining about it to this day, when it should be mundane at this point.
Yeah, well, that has a few different aspects to it. And the problem, another problem I see is a lot of people like to simplify things, where
it's one of those situations where the internet is very subjective and kind of needs to label people at either left or right or black and white. You know, someone needs to be the bad guy, so they have someone to root against or complain about.
Yeah, and I think a big example is the idea of homophobia and transphobia.
Actually, I never understood those. They sound a lot like just people complaining, but it's also baseless rumors and complaining. Like, they do nothing to harm people, just like the furry fandom. They do nothing wrong, but people still need something to hate about them. So they either fabricate their own crap or make it so against them that they create their own boogeyman again. Basically, they vilify the furry fandom so bad that the furry fandom itself starts to think that's actually what's going on.
Well, what I'm saying here is that what's happening a lot of the time is, let's say somebody opposes homosexuality, and the person that supports it may say that the person that's opposing it hates homosexuals, which may not be true.
One of those situations. Yeah, where as soon as you say no or yes to a situation, they immediately assume you either hate it or don't.
Yeah, they assume that you're immediately taking the most extreme position. And the other side of it is true.
This is what I mean by black and white. They need to. It can never be too simple for the internet or people in politics in general. No one can ever just, like in YouTube, no one can never just have an opinion. They either have to explain it or sugarcoat it every single time.
Well,
I get what you mean.
Well, I think a big problem here is that people aren't allowing others to explain their opinions, and they're not willing to try to understand the position of the other side on the issue, because
yeah, I think I know what you mean. It's one of those situations where people need something to hate, so they vilify someone and not allow them to speak, or they don't listen when they try to explain themselves. Because to them, it doesn't matter what the situation is, they just need something to hate. So they don't try to fix it, they just keep it as a hatred. It's one of those things where you hate someone, right? Or you hate something about them, but you don't try to fix it or get away from it, you keep it just so you can constantly nag about them and you can feel bad about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I think is a big problem. And the way to fix that is to, of course, to actually try to understand the other side of the issue.
Yeah, but most people really, they can, and some of them do, which is a good thing. But some of them also don't. Those are the fabrication ones. The ones that just want to hate you, so they don't actually want to hear you out. They just want to be right or someone to hate, you know what I mean? It's like bullying in a way. They just want to target. They don't want the target to fight back or actually explain why they're bullying him. They just kind of do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And that's the problem. So, do you have any political insight as to what's happening in Morocco?
A political insight? No, I don't watch the news at all.
Okay. Okay.
But here's the thing. There is something I would like to share.
Okay. What is it?
It's one of It's one of those situations where I'm not sure if I'm using this term correctly. It's like the Gillenwater effect or something like that. No, that's a name of a movie. No, I forgot that goddamn description of it. But basically, it's one of those things where the amount you actually know is different from the amount you really know. And you get what I'm going at, right?
I think I know what you mean.
What do I mean? Just to see if we kind of got it, because I forgot what it's called.
It's an effect where someone learns a little bit about something and then believes himself to be an expert, but then he might learn more and then realizes that he's not actually an expert.
Yes, it's that one. You got it correctly.
Yeah.
Except the way it is they don't learn more. They just automatically assume they have a master's degree in it, and they immediately take their opinion as fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they don't try to learn more. They just assume they already know everything, and there's nothing to gain. All right. So there's something about that effect in our politics. Not really, but you kind of get the idea. No one's that corrupt, but they kind of have this idea of always being a peaceful country, but half of the time the politics are always at each other's throats. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's actually a lot like the American debate in a way. I find them a lot similar, where it's less fixing the country, basically, and more who's the biggest 5-year-old in the room who wants to win a conversation. Like, they literally play it like I play chess. Well, like baby chess, but you get the idea. Where someone just has to have the last word, or has to have, like, the final say in a conversation or topic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that is in every, like, political debate in any country. But here in the U.S. are the ones that I know the most about a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you know the tornado incident in the U.S.
Uh, I don't know about any specific tornado. Could you explain it to me?
You know the hurricane thing that they kept
Oh, the
talking about.
hurricane. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we had a similar thing here with, but it wasn't hurricanes. It was just pouring rain to the extent where it's like the sides of buildings, like the size of a building, where people would literally drown in their sleep, kind of situation. It happens just either outside or like in Spain thing. But at the same time, it reminded me a lot of the political debate because when they go to the debate and see what's going on, half of the people are trying to fix it. The other half just want their conversations to be correct. You know what I mean? Like some are saying global warming, some of them are saying we should evacuate everyone, some of them are saying this is just temporary, and some of them are like, okay, what do we do about this? Do we get the military involved? You know what I mean? Those kind of evacuation situations. Except rather than trying all of them or trying one of them to fix the situation, it's like a rock paper scissors match. Each one is trying to find out which of the others is correct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're having a little Yu-Gi-Oh duel to see which one is choice is the one they go with. And it's less, hey, which benefits are better, and more like, hey, which one of us really old people who think we're all right, like we're all correct because of our experience, goes first. You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the extent of my knowledge, but at the same time, I kind of fell asleep halfway through because it just sounded so similar to the political debate that I was like, yeah, these people are fucked. Let's just leave them alone. And that's literally my reaction because half of them really don't get what's going on. It's one of those situations where you need either a person from like the city's perspective or a miner's opinion. You know what I mean? Because they're the true victim and they're the ones that probably have the answer. You just assume you do, so you don't listen to anything they
Yeah.
do. You know what I'm saying? One of
Yeah.
those Prince principles where everyone's high and mighty, so only their opinion is the one that matters, even though they're completely screwing it up. Just like the actual education system half the time, where if these things don't work out, they just keep doing it by the book.
Yeah, another alternative method, I think, to trying to have one solution is to actually have multiple solutions that are each applied in a local region. So that,
Yeah, and the funny thing about it is that most people in politics, right? They assume that's what's going on when they see both all of them fighting each other and which way to do it better. But rather than that being the case, like, hey, which method is better to do with the other method? No, instead they just pick one overall and the others get screwed over.
yeah, and that's actually why there's a lot of big conflict in politics. It's because the solutions to all these problems that maybe on an economic, environmental, or on a social level are all boiled down to having to be decided by the entire country as a whole instead of maybe trying to apply ones on a smaller scale and seeing which ones actually work.
Yeah, or having the Hunger Games situation, where each district is cut off and each district gets its own way of dealing with the problem because most hurricane and wave situations are in specific areas. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
either the middle of the city or just on the borders and edges of the city. So rather than each side getting their own way of fixing the problem and seeing they work off of each other, you know, like one builds a wall, one gets people evacuated, one sees this, and then after the hurricane hits, they see which one is better, and then they continue with that idea for the next hurricane because usually these stuff are one after the other. But instead, they just keep fighting.
And,
Hell,
and,
seriously, I'm surprised they're not the first one dead because half of the time these people are still fighting while the hurricane's just outside their city.
yeah, and this actually also allows for a big political truth that I think a lot of people ignore, is that in many cases one solution may work for one group, but it may not work for another group. And that's what I see in politics a lot,
Yeah,
where
it's one of
people,
those things. Yeah, go ahead, finish
yeah,
yours.
I was going to say, where the United States has been trying to institute democracies in various countries, but the problem is that in many cases, the people in those countries don't actually like the democracy that they're getting, and they want to have a different type of government. and then it doesn't work and it collapses on itself. And that's because people high up think that it's only the best system, when in fact it applies in a lot of cases, but in some cases it doesn't.
Yeah, for me, it's one of two types of things that are very easy to fix, but people are just very stupid and stubborn half the time, especially in politics. It's one of those situations where I call the principle, but basically a high governing person or a spoiled brat, basically, and basic human logic principle, where the solution is very simple. You just work together and stop it. But at the same time, people are just so stubborn and so dumb to, the solution, that they actually no way find out the way to work it. You get what I mean? That's the basic logic situation, where it's like racism. It's a very easy thing to fix, well, in a basic way, just like each other. But at the same time, people are so dumb and hit each other for no reason that they can't easily fix it, unlike in here.
Well, actually, I think a big problem in the United States and in a lot of European countries is that people can't even agree on what racism is.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's one of those basic things where you just need to work with each other to figure it out, but everyone's so stubborn, they rather just hate each other.
And the big dilemma in how to define racism really stems from some recent scholarship that has defined it differently than how many people in the past have defined it, and that is the idea that racism has to be a systematic part of society that has to do with oppression, rather than it actually just being a basic form of bigotry against someone who's of a certain race or ethnicity, which is the more classical definition of it.
By the way, I got a question.
Yes?
Did anyone post any comments yet?
No. I don't.
Alright, so when someone does, just tell me about it, okay?
Yeah, I'm not a big YouTuber. I've only got about 100 subscribers, so I don't expect...
I literally get one view every decade, so it's really not that
I don't expect anybody to watch live, but trust me, I've got my eyes on the stream.
It's actually always better to start out small and then grow rather than get a big explosion, or how I like to call it, jump on the bandwagon of trends and get a huge level up on subscribers, but then they all leave after that trend is over.
Yeah, I don't play Fortnite, so I guess
me neither.
I'm off the trend.
I actually don't play it just because everyone else does, It's one of those things where it's so massive that at this point you might as well just not try.
And the worst part about it is that it's become a big cultural thing among a lot of children. So I go someplace and there'll be these kids, and these kids will be doing those weird dances from Fortnite.
Emotes, yeah.
Yeah, and they're doing it in real life, and
yes, and football competitions. Yeah, I've seen those.
And it's a toxic meme. I don't like the dances. As a freestyle dance champion myself, I just cannot bear the sight of it. It just...
We gotta have a dance-off competition, me and you. We just gotta. And this is interesting information. We gotta play Just Dance, me and you. We gotta do that sometime. Man, have a Just Dance multiplayer duel or something like that. It's gotta be fun.
No, I think...
I'll definitely post that.
I think what'd be even better than that. You ready for this? A freestyle dance competition, and we let the viewers judge who is better.
That is my idea. You thought I was just going to post a video? No, I'm making this live stream. I'm live streaming that situation and just reading all the comments while dancing. Yeah. Yes, this is going to be the best thing ever, except I can't do it.
I can't do it either. I need some serious hardware upgrades for that to even work. But,
yeah, pretty much. And viewers to roast us in the comments, because if no one watches the cringy dancing, then we're just going to block it afterwards.
But I'll give you a bit of a word of warning here. I am, in fact, a martial arts expert, and therefore I have a lot of strength and flexibility. So I've got some sick moves.
Ah, yes, the sickest of moves.
Yeah.
Have you got any dancing videos on your channel? Because I'm interested right now.
No, I've never actually shown my face.
Ever?
Ever. In fact, I actually looked up both my username and my real life name online, and I actually cannot find any images of me at all on the internet.
Well, that's what happens when you go incognito for life.
Yeah, so essentially I'm this hidden guy, the big villain in the shonen anime who has a hidden face, nobody knows what he looks like, and then he comes out and it's just some guy who's, I don't know, menacing.
Yes, when the backstory is more interesting than the actual character.
Yeah, when the backstory is more interesting, you know, all those feats, lumberjack with my kicks, I fell trees. That's not even
trees down.
That's not even a joke. That's something I actually do in real life.
That sounds like an interesting sport. That really does.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
That and shotgun woodcarver. Those sound fun.
Shotgun woodcarver. That sounds.
Yeah, they shoot like a tree down with the shotgun. They grab it like it's like a minigun from like Rambo, and they just immediately like shoot the tree down with shotgun bullets.
Yeah, I've fired a shotgun before. I've done some clay pigeon shooting, and yeah, if you fire rapid with your shotgun, that's gotta hurt. Probably does, because the recoil on a shotgun is kind of strong.
Yeah, most people don't know how powerful weapons actually are in real life compared to video games.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should watch like people shooting for the first time. It's hilarious, the knockback half the time. Oh yeah, also beware of me in dancing competitions.
Yeah?
Because I got two things that no one else has.
What?
Self-criticism on how to improve, right?
All right. Good.
Damn it, okay. And the second thing was no leg strength at all.
Oh, I guess you're kind of the opposite of me. That's my only strength, my legs.
What about your hands?
I'm actually not that strong in my arms. It's got to be said.
No, I meant like in dancing, like flexibility and movement.
Oh yeah, flexibility. I'm great on flexibility. It's just
because we're not picking up trucks. We're doing dance battles.
We're not doing a caber toss.
Unless you're gonna do hip hop.
You know what caber tossing is?
Nope.
Okay, it's a sport that is commonly done in the Highland Games in Scotland, where you pick up a caber, which is another word that means a stick, but it's actually talking about a larger, almost like a log of a tree, and you have to
toss it in the air,
and you have to pick it up with your hands and lift it up, and you have to throw it.
Yo, I know what you mean. I know that kind of sport. It's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, that's probably something that'd be very hard for me, but I could probably try it.
Yeah, I should try it. It's probably fun. That and fighting the waves. That's the two different kinds of sports I would recommend.
Yeah, but the actual sport I do is taekwondo. I punch people, and
of course,
and I kick people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leap hurricane kicks.
Yeah, do a nice tornado kick.
You see, for me, my kind of battling is different. Mine is kind of better but worse at the same time.
Better than what?
Mine affects people more, but is like not really that physically impressive.
Oh, what is it then?
Mine is roasting. You know what that is?
Yeah, I know what that is.
Except mine is realistic roasting, where I just completely destroy your self-esteem.
Yeah.
Lack thereof, because most people are like babies on the internet. But you get the idea. That one is more effective, but like less physically impressive. That's kind of battling I do on the internet, or just even in real life. I would roast a nigga so hard he would cry. That and dance battles. Yeah, that's the second kind of battles I would have. Oh, dance battle so hard. Like it's the same thing with basketball when you like when you switch out and then he immediately falls, like he gets curved so hard his legs fall back. The same
Yeah.
thing except with dancing. Except I actually don't use Fortnite emotes. I just do backflips and stuff like that. To the point where his legs just fall down.
Yeah, actually, in real life, speaking about people falling down, I encountered someone in a fight, and this was, of course, a controlled fight. So we weren't trying to hurt each other. It was in a martial arts context, that
Yes.
is. And I did a couple of fancy kicks to distract him from a punch that I was then launching. And the moment it contacted, he got so spooked that he just fell over.
Ah, yes. When you're so flashy, the opponent just gives up. Yes.
And
Impressive.
yeah, spooky, scary
For me,
skeletons.
it's the same situation, but it's like an Eminem style. I roast him so fast and so quick with so many roasts and words, he can't comprehend how much roasting I actually did in just 2 seconds. Then he just gives up immediately.
Yeah. So speaking about things being spooky, do you have Halloween in
No.
no?
And I wish I had, because my God, the amount of candy I would have gotten. It might as well just be the entire country-sized amount of candy, trust me. If I collected them, like, each year until right now, I would have had, like, a house full of candy.
Yeah. Well, I've
And the costumes. I would have so worn a furry costume in my hometown, just scaring the crap out of everybody. Or giving them hugs. Or giving them the best snuggles they can ever have. Trust me, the two best things.
Yeah. So I was thinking, yeah, I never actually went trick-or-treating.
Well, you're missing out.
Yeah. Even though where I've lived, people were always doing it. It's never something I actually did.
Funny thing is, I never actually worn a suit and got outside. Like, at all. To weddings, funerals, anything.
Never worn a suit?
Well, not really, but because sometimes you kind of have to. But for, like, formal or holiday situations. You know what I mean? Except the ones that are mandatory. I've never actually got it of free will, like, on my own, like, on purpose. Never.
Yeah. Do you pray at the mosque or?
Actually, I don't know. Well, not that I don't know. It's kind of from time to time type of situation where it's not really, well, it's mandatory, but not necessarily. Like, they can't kill you if you don't do it. But at the same time, it's kind of like a bad thing if you just never do it. So for me, I do it from time to time, you know?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I forget. Sometimes I got other stuff. Sometimes people just go without me because they're so used to me not going that they immediately assume I'm just going to say no. And sometimes I just do it on my own, like from time to time. Just want to do it, you know?
Yeah, I go
It's
to.
it's like a routine type of situation, or like a diet in a way. You kind of do it from time to time. You don't necessarily do it all the time.
Yeah, I guess I'm a bit different. I go to church every Sunday.
Great. For me, it's less that I can't put the dedication, and more like right now I'm not putting the dedication. Later, I'll have all the dedication in the world. But for right now, no. I'm at that age where it's like trying to figure out life, trying to get that career on point, trying to get that in the college education. So I kind of can't have a routine for now, you know, besides working on YouTube and possibly looking for a college or a university out of state. Kind of can't have any other things distracting me, really.
Out of
So I
state?
just, yeah, I'm not going to this state. You see, in here, they don't have that many linguistic students, right, or linguistic masters. So I'm trying to find one in a different linguistic university.
So so you're trying to get a master's in linguistics?
Well, not necessarily. Here's the thing. Basically, I know English, right?
Yeah.
Except in here, most people only know French and Arabic because they're the first and second language. English is the same as Spanish. It's optional language. You only get it after high school, you know, where you get to enroll in it if you want to. If you don't want to, you can just like fuck off. So, you know, It's one of those things that are optional. But because not that many people do it, because it's optional, there aren't that many, well, let's just say careers or like, what is it, courses, like in college. They don't have that many courses for English students,
Yeah.
or stuff specifying in that language. So I'm trying to find one out of state because if I do it in state, there's nowhere, like, especially in the country town where most people look up farming and basic computing, then they do a linguistic mastery of Spanish, French, Arabic, and English. So yeah, they kind of don't have it here. I'm kind of going out of state. Even though it's probably not going to happen, I'm going to find a way.
So how did you come to learn English?
Just learned it on my own. Remember, it's optional, so most people either don't care or people like me who are passionate just work towards it, It's one of those things where it's like a childhood passion, You just
Yeah.
want to learn something, just learn it. Just do it, just like the Transformers meme.
Yeah,
Just do it.
I do that myself a lot, but why English though?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. Because when I started learning it, I was a toddler. I was at that age where it's like you kind of don't have any memories of what happened because it's so young that you don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And by the time I was 8, I already mastered the language, the dictionary, everything. So I just kept doing it like it was my own native tongue. You know what I mean? So, I mean, when you're 8 and you already know like 2 languages, you might as well just keep using them like they're normal life situations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
It's
know
one of
what you're
those things
saying.
that was very impressive to other people because no one was that linguistic sometimes. But at the same time, for me, it's just so the norm that it's not that big of a deal. So just kind of, meh, I like English. I don't even know when I learned it. All I know is that when I was 5, I already knew it. So just keep rolling with it.
Yeah, English is my third language.
Great. What's your first and second?
German and Italian.
Great. Mine are Arabic, English, and French, except I don't learn French. Kind of have a deep, dark secret about it. Not really, just meh. So I just kind of learned Arabic and English. I can learn more, but for now, I'm just trying to get that English education first. Then I'll just master everything else at my own pace.
Yeah, if I were to learn a fourth language, it might be, I don't know, ancient Greek.
That's a pretty good one, to be honest.
Yeah, so some
For me, I'm
interesting
trying to
literature.
learn the 4 basics, as people like to call it: the Arabic, English, French, and Arabic, English, French, and Spanish. Yeah, those are the 4 basic ones that we have here, the ones that they teach you throughout school. So I'm trying to master all 4. Kind
Yeah,
of like the Avatar. Gotta master all 4 elements.
yeah. In the United States, of course, most education is in English, but as a second language, most people pick Spanish since Mexico borders the United States, uh, and Spanish is a very common language for a lot of immigrants to the United States. But a third language, a lot of times, would be French, and that's
Kind
because,
of the same here. Kind of
yeah,
the same here, except switch Spanish with English. A lot of people learn English because remember, just like you guys, the border, or I guess the country just above us is France, and we're gonna have I guess, a good relationship with it.
the
I don't
border
know.
just above
A
you
lot
is
of
Spain.
Well, I don't know. People love French in here. They keep saying it's above us. Either they mean like above Spain or something
Yeah,
else.
it's
I
above
don't know.
Spain, but
Yeah, so that's probably the one
yeah.
they mean when they say above us. I just kind of assumed it was right above us. Turns out that's Spain. But hey, people love their French. For us, yeah, a lot of people just love their French, so they keep it as their second language, and then the rest are optional. Spanish, because we do get Spanish immigrants and actually Japanese people during the summer. They kind of like to come here from time to time, like on vacation or just overall just stay here for a while. English is pretty rare. Like we do get English visitors, but not that much. Usually, when we do, I'm the go-to guy to talk to them because everyone else is completely screwed otherwise. So
Yeah, the reason why people in the U.S. learn French, a lot of it has to do with the fact that in Canada, there's a part of Canada called Quebec where people speak French
that's cool.
because it used to be a French colony, but then it got taken over by Great Britain. But nowadays, people still speak French in that area.
Yeah, for us, it's kind of the same. We speak usually French more than anything else. And yeah, English is kind of rare, but not really. It's one of those things where it's easy to learn as long as you want to, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, most people don't care. So, it's not really impressive, just optional, It's only it's like the old people situation where it's only impressive to them because they can't do it. Otherwise, it's pretty normal.
Yeah, when I was living in Italy, Italian, of course, is the first language that everybody learns. The second language would either be English or a local dialect. And in fact, a lot of the older Italians didn't know English at all because they didn't teach foreign languages when they were growing up.
Yeah, funny thing here, we actually have like four different kind of dialect, I guess, of Arabic, like four different ways of speaking it. There's the normal Arabic, there's kind of the Hebrew type, and there's one that's kind of like Japanese mixed with Chinese because that's kind of the style that you're writing. Some of them look like Japanese writing, and yeah, some of them are just like in like what is it called, the Sahara Desert. Those are just
The Maghreb?
languages based on, yeah, that. So yeah, we kind of have four different dialects. I have two of the four dialects, mainly because it was easy. It's one of those situations where the language is so much close to each other and so basically the same thing that it's kind of not really impressive to learn it. Just people don't care. So I kind of learned two at the same time. It was pretty easy, really. It's one of those things where the writing is basically the same, like the way you write it. So it was easy for me to learn. I just wrote normal Arabic, and then I learned the other dialect, and that's it. We call it Classic Arabic and French Arabic. That sounded hilarious, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the same with the native tongue. Like I'm speaking right now, this is normal English. Same with normal Arabic, just speaking normally. But with French Arabic thing, it's basically like a more suave way of saying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Like a more Prince or old medieval style. That's pretty much it. So it was easy to learn. All I had to do was literally add an S to everything, and that's it. It was pretty easy, and it was kind of embarrassingly easy. Not bragging, just like, why is it so easy yet most people don't even know how to do it? You just add an S.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, really.
Yeah, and there's actually very many different dialects of English around the world.
That's interesting. I might learn some of those.
Yeah, and there's also small accents and regional ways that people say things, which is different from the generalized English.
Oh yeah, it's we have those sometimes. They're called language accents. It depends on your native tongue. If you learn French first, then you learn English, then you kind of have a French accent. If you or a French way of speaking English, like the native one, where you just add an S to everything. If you learn Arabic first, then learn English, then you have that classic Arabic accent where you say everything literal rather than fluent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
or how I like to call it, the Indian way of saying, we are only Americans, yeah. Like the kind of thing where you just say it in a very straightforward manner rather than fluent.
But
basically,
what I'm saying is not exactly that. It's more, I'm talking about native speakers in, let's say, downtown London or Ireland speak very different from people in the American South. Or,
yeah, I know. It's the same here. We have the same with the regional thing. We have different places who speak the different ways of the same language.
Yeah.
That's why it's called the dialect, I think.
Yeah. So it's people say things like howdy, which is not something that people say in a lot of areas.
Way of saying it, or cowboy style. That's what I call it. It's
not they don't say that in Mexico, but yeah.
And well, they don't, but you get the idea, the whole cowboy thing.
Yeah, and there's things like y'all.
Oh, that's funny. Some people call that, well, it's kind of racist, but they call it the black way of talking.
Well, in the United States, the way they say that is it's actually different from the from what is called Eubonics, which is what people call the black way of talking, because there's something that's got some similarities, but is actually very different. Which people call the Southern accent or the Southern drawl because of how the vowels are said.
Yeah, same here with the foreign way and classic way. It's just different dialects, but as long as you know how to use normal dialects for your native one, you can easily figure out the way to use it for the other one. This is why I constantly say just add an S. It's the same with an accent. You just you speak with an R or something like that.
But
so it's pretty easy.
But sometimes it's actually very difficult because one time, this is a true story, I was out on the streets in doing some charity work when some man approached me and he started talking to me. But the problem was that he was speaking English, but I couldn't understand a single word he was saying, which of course frustrated me. And I tried to explain to him, I don't understand what you're saying. Could you repeat that? Could you be more clear when you're saying it? But I actually was not able to communicate, even though we were technically speaking the same language.
Yeah, that's actually a funny story, too. I have some of those. It's the same situation where it's the foreign way of speaking. You see, they speak a lot. It actually happens here just a couple of days ago. They speak the same, but they speak it in such a my king or my liege type of way. You have no idea what they're talking about. It's because the words, the way they speak them, are like in a completely different way. Like, because no one says my liege or my queen or stuff like that nowadays. They just say, hi, my king or my queen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I know what you
speaking that
mean.
way is like speaking a completely different story.
They're speaking in an overly formal way.
Yeah, so people literally had to translate what those words even mean, even though they're just normal terms. It was funny.
Yeah. I think
I actually have a story for that one.
Yeah?
Do you want me to say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So basically, one day, right, I was just walking, classic, just walking outside, taking a walk. And then I found two people talking, right? They were not really arguing, just talking to each other. And the way people talk here, they're kind of loud, so you kind of can't pick up all of what they're saying. So it turns out one guy was just talking normally, just trying to get directions, right? And he was talking in such a formal way. And the other one was talking in a normal way. Now the thing was, that guy that was asking directions was giving too specific yet too narrow of directions. He was like saying buildings' names, but saying it so weirdly they have no idea which building it is, right? He was like, take me to thy castle that has thy liege of the Stormway King. Like something like that. Or not really, I forgot what he was talking about. He wanted to go to the waterfalls, right, that we have in here. The thing is that he said like something like a sleeping dragon or something, and that guy had no idea what those words meant or how the hell would he find a sleeping dragon. I know this is the mountainside, that's what he said. I know this is the mountainside, but we don't got none of them here. And then I butt in because that's usually what you do in this situation. You try to help the homies out, right?
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on? It says, this nigga, literally what it says. We usually just say this brother of mine, right? Because everyone respects each other and says like brother and sister, right? Well, kind of like the religious way of doing it. It's like this brother of mine that keeps talking about ancient dragons and castles, and I ain't got no idea what in year this guy's from. He thinks he's from the Middle Ages. I'm like, okay, hold up, fam, hold up. I'll just go speak to him myself. I was like, hello, my liege. What is thy name? And like stuff like that. I was like, because I know both. So I was like, what castle are you speaking of? Because I know when you say castle, you usually just mean either a very popular location, maybe a church, or just a house. Like they usually just call castle's house or a hut. So I was like, which hut are you talking about? It's like, okay, it was the one with the sleeping dragon. I was like, which sleeping dragon? Because I don't know the history of this place sometimes. He told me the sleeping dragon, because he was, I think it was video game terms, I'm not sure. He said the water dragon. By that he means like the waterfalls. He assumes it's the dragon of water, like the elements. So I was like, wait, you mean the waterfalls? He's like, yes, the water dragon. So I was like, okay, this is in the mountainside. Okay, it's like, okay, so you take thy left with the horse, and you take the carriage, left, and then right. So he kept confusing the directions because he assumed that by mountain, I meant like the mountainside, like in Hodor. So you gotta keep climbing that stuff with the horses. So because he actually did have a horse, I don't know where the he drives a horse in traffic, but people find a way. I'm not even kidding. People just find a way. So I was like, okay, you take thy horse, and then he actually rode his horse, right? And he literally took it up the mountainside. It's just a normal street. So I told him, take a left, go up, turn around at the mountainside, and you can find the stairs of the mountainside. There you'll find the waterfall. And then I explained it to him, but the other person told me, what are you talking about? And I had to explain in a different language. I said, okay, here's what you do. You tell him to take a left, go up, go to the mountainside, and climb the stairs. And then that guy was like, why is he riding a horse, and what does the water dragon have to do with anything? And then I just had to explain the whole situation in straightforward. And it was funny because the guy, after I explained it, was laughing his fucking ass off. I'm not kidding. He actually almost died laughing because he was so mad and so confused. But after I told him what the water dragon is, he was so shocked that that guy was like basically stupid, that it was funny, like it's stupidly funny. So I just kept laughing for half an hour. So I actually ended up taking that guy with the horse up the mountain and giving him to the waterfall. It was a hilarious weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one hell of a weekend with the water dragons. I don't know where he got the water dragon idea from, but pretty much.
Yeah. So
it sounds like a made-up story, but I can't make this shit up. It's like funny. You can never make this crappy stuff up. It only happens in here.
Yeah. So let me explain something. This has come up a couple of times, but I want to explain it just so people don't get mad at me that I didn't say anything about it. But where I live, it's generally considered to be very crude to use the word nigga.
Oh, okay.
I don't mean that to say that what I'm accusing you of anything. What I'm saying is,
I know what you mean. I don't take any of this racistly. Don't bother. You don't need to sugarcoat it. I understand what you mean.
Yeah,
I can actually take a hint. Unlike most people who cry when they don't understand things. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so
for us, it's not really a curse word or something bad, because remember, most people just say, "Hey, brother," "Hey, homie," "What's good, fam?" Stuff like that. So everyone's just cool with each other, especially in here. We don't say black person or nigga. I just like saying it because that's usually the word they say in the U.S., right? Like in the hood. But in here, they don't really say nigga. They say it for people because it doesn't matter to them. But they usually just say, hey, my friend. They don't necessarily need black. And even if they add that, people don't take it racistly because usually they don't have that many black friends, or they do. So it's okay, you know? It's like part of the squad or the hood. It doesn't matter if you say nigga because you're just part of the brotherhood. So it's okay if you say it even if you're white. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So if this is something that you find offensive, I'm sorry. But for us, it's casual. So, you know. Can't necessarily stop it. It's just classic wording, so gotta keep slipping, you know.
Yeah, I'm saying that I don't personally mind. I just wanted to mention that so that if anybody out there who does mind knows that I know what you did and that we're not meaning it in a racist way.
Yeah, and also usually people need to learn that just because you say the word doesn't mean you mean it. That's why actually I always add the camera and my reactions of way of when I say things, so that they take my expression and figure out, do I mean it in a racist way or not. And from my expression alone, you can say that I just say it casually, because otherwise I won't just say it right out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing I always urge my audience to figure out. You know, it's like, this is why I don't sugarcoat anything or say, in my opinion. I do, but like not all the time. Sometimes I can just say blatant racist things without thinking. But I keep it that way so they can figure out, hey, do I mean it in a racist way? Or do I mean it in the way I actually am thinking? And most people figure it out. Because when they see my reaction, they see it as a straightforward guy who just says honest things. So you don't need to be racist. Just like that situation earlier in the podcast. No one needs to always hate something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's how I do it with my audience, so, you know.
Yeah.
I encourage you to do the same.
Yeah.
Not start spewing racist stuff, just telling them the better way of seeing it, I guess. Is that all?
Yeah, that's all. Kolo Hadid, my friend.
What?
Kolo Hadid.
Oh my god! Repeat that, because that sounds hilarious.
Kolo Hadid.
Okay, what are you trying to say? Because sometimes the language barrier is pretty difficult to pass.
Kolo Hadid.
It sounds like you're saying cool metal. Like, what are you trying to say? Like the word? So I can translate it for you better.
It translates eat steel.
That's cool hadid.
Okay, good.
You said Kolo Hadid. That actually translates to cool metal. So it's like, what are you trying to say? Rock band?
Yeah.
So yeah. Wait,
yeah.
Why are you saying cool metal? Why?
No, it's just a quote from a video game.
Yeah, I kind of figured that out. I was like, which quote is it? Because it sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's from a game called Stronghold Crusader, where you can play as either the Crusaders or the Arabs defending against the Crusaders.
All right.
So
what other topic do you want to talk about? Because we still got like 45 minutes.
I don't really have anything too specific. Is there something you'd like to bring up?
Not necessarily. Besides just personal stuff we like to do, different topics that we're interested in, or fandoms that we're a part of, we usually just don't add that much, you know?
Yeah, so
this is why it's called a weekly podcast, where we talk about anything and everything. Because unless it's the audience adding intact and context and us figuring it out, we usually just talk about whatever, you know? It's like a way to build the connection between the audience and the people during the co-hosting, you know?
Yeah, so what's your opinion on the furry fandom?
Oh, that. Didn't I already answer that last time offline when we were talking?
Yeah, offline you did, but...
you want me to repeat it?
No, not exactly. What I'm asking is...
Yeah?
If you had the availability to do this, would you wear a fursuit?
Yes, guaranteed, hands down. I already told you guys about the Halloween snuggles.
Yeah.
I'll literally wear it. Go around town, hug every motherfucker in the city, and of course have Instagram pictures. That's got to be the case. I mean, you can never just not do that. But besides those things, I probably won't do anything else besides maybe hugs.
Yeah. So what?
But no yipping. None of that.
Okay. No weird stuff. So
yes, no weird stuff. The snuggles are good enough.
So speaking about the fursuit, what would your fursona be?
Oh, mine! I forgot what the hell it was called because it's been a while since I've even seen a furry video. Because usually they just talk about the same topics over and over again and certain things. They just kept, white noising the crap out of it. Mine is a dog and mine is a wolf and a dragon combined because those are my two favorite spirit animals. That.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell they call the combination thing.
So what's your opinion on the concept of spirit animals?
Oh, they're actually pretty cool.
Yeah, but do you...
For me, it's the same as the stands in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or the same as personas in Persona 5. They're like representations of your rebellious side or heart, so pretty cool.
Yeah, but do you
reflections on yourself.
Do you take the idea of spirit animals seriously?
I take it the middle road. The middle road, by that, I mean, I believe in them, and I love them, but I don't go over the top with it, like try to figure out what mine is or do some creepy ritual stuff. So I don't take it too seriously, like being a crazy person, but just seriously enough that you kind of, acknowledge it for what it is. Just joke around about it.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I usually pick for most things. The middle road is always the better road.
Yeah. Because
you don't want to be too obsessed, but you also don't want to just joke around about this stuff like Wendigos and what the hell were they called? The Ouija boards and stuff like that. You don't want to just joke around about these things because sometimes they will fuck you up. So yeah, but you also don't want to take it too seriously. You don't want to summon your own evil spirits. You just kind of want to figure it out. So
yeah. So would you talk to an imam about
What the hell is an imam?
Okay, maybe not an imam, a sheikh.
A sheikh? What?
No.
No, what?
Would
like,
you talk?
Translate, my nigga.
Would
I
you
need
talk?
Context.
Okay, would you talk to a religious leader in your community about spirit animals?
You mean like a shaman?
No, not a shaman. An actual a person in your mosque. Would you talk?
Yes, guaranteed 100% I would talk to that nigga. I would actually buy some, well, not weed, but like get some cool-ass drinks, maybe some tea, maybe some pets, just start talking about spirit animals for like 2 weeks with that guy. That sounds like a good-ass weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do that. I would literally do that. Because I'm actually interested, you know? I was like, hey, can you see my energy? Can you see what kind of spirit animal I would get? Do you see my energy reflecting off of people? Stuff like that. Because those are stuff that I'm also interested in and have some form of knowledge, but not that much. It's one of those things where it's like energy bending in Avatar. You kind of have the idea, but you can't use it completely. So, you know, maybe if I meet that nigga, he'll give me the powers. I don't know.
Yeah. So what's your
opinion? What about you?
Me? I'm personally not.
That's not your opinion.
Okay,
what?
I'm not into the spirit animals things myself. It's not something that I believe in.
Okay. That's it?
Well, I think it's sort of mutually exclusive with my other religious beliefs, so it doesn't fit in. So it doesn't make sense for me to believe in something like that.
All right. So continue with the questioning me, I guess.
All right. Oh man, I just got completely knocked off track with what I was saying.
Yes, I know. That was kind of my plan. To switch off the pressure.
Okay. Geography. What are your thoughts on? How much do you know about geography?
Not that much, because I don't leave my room.
Do you ever look at maps?
Well, yeah, but not that much. I'm not Indiana Jones. I want to be, but you get the idea. Considering I never leave my house, especially with overprotective parents, I can never just go outside. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I know at least something, but the thing about geography for me is that unless I'm adventuring to other countries, then I don't really need the map, because I'm never leaving this house. So, you know.
Yeah, I always like looking at maps.
Yeah, same here. Learning geography, maybe be like Lara Croft, where you pick up how to raid tombs and stuff. But, give or take, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until I leave this room, then I won't need it, but afterwards.
Yeah, give you a fursuit, give me a map.
Yeah, what? It will give me a fursuit, give you a map?
Yep.
Yes, and we'll go on the best, maybe not the most straight adventure, but you get the idea.
A bizarre adventure.
Yes, the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Except this one's going to be the YouTuber's Bizarre Adventure.
The YouTuber's Bizarre Adventure.
One with the Indiana Jones hat, whip, and map. So let's go. That sounds like a weird ass adventure.
Yeah, I've got. Yeah.
Yeah, continue. Let's go. More questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's very interesting. Always looking at maps all the time. It's my favorite pastime. It's what I do. It's my job. No, it's not my job. I do taxes.
What is your job anyway?
As I was saying, I do taxes. I do people's taxes. I make sure that everything is right with the government, that they
That's great. Make
get
sure you
taxed
talk to
enough.
college students about that, because the education system does not help them with shit when it comes to that.
Oh yeah, it does not at all. But
so that's probably your most popular client base or viewer base when it comes to working with taxes, just college students. Working on that never-ending debt because they keep fucking it up on parties. This is why I'm going to university. Fuck that college debt, just 100%.
So you're going to university, but you're not leaving.
I'm gonna pick
a
university, because if I pick college, then that's gonna go up the ass. So no. especially with a low/middle income family. You don't want to burden any of them with that college debt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially when the only way you can go there if you go with a scholarship, because the payments are insane, especially in dollars versus dirham currency. So yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the history of your country?
It's pretty good as far as I can tell. I mean, besides the wars that they keep talking about in every history class in the universe, then yeah, I don't know that much about it. You know,
Yeah.
all I know is that we're a peaceful country with a pretty good king and a pretty good heir, so we're good for at least the next 30 years or something. So
Yeah.
unlike the U.S., where at this point I'm surprised you guys aren't getting nuked. So yeah, we're pretty good, thank God.
That's actually exactly what I wanted to talk about. Nukes. What's your opinion on nukes?
Well, have you ever played Fallout 4?
No, I have not.
Okay, there's a game in Fallout where there's a very important decision that you make in the game where you get to either nuke a city or not, but they don't give you any reason why. And that's my opinion on nukes. Why the f would you nuke a place if you don't got any reason to? But hey, Korea does not know that the answer to that question, so that's my opinion.
Yeah. But
Half of the time, I think they either just nuke the place because they don't like it, or they're just fighting for resources like oil. I don't know.
if your country could get nukes, would you want your country to get nukes?
Here's the situation. Nukes are one of those things where no one likes, no one wants to have, but it's a necessity. Because if your country has no defenses and every other country has nukes, you're pretty much fucked. They can just nuke you and take all your shit. So you kind of have to have nukes to fight back. It's one of those things why there's an army in every country. Some of them, like ours, a peaceful country, why would we have a nuke or why would we want a war? But it's not that we want it, we just kind of, it's for securing, you know? Because half of the time, it's not even our fault, just other countries like to pick a fight. So we either have to have an equally strong army to at least defend the people, or we just start a war with them, see who wins, and the other one's fucked, basically. So yeah.
Yeah,
that's kind of the idea, especially with the worst part about it. Well, besides all the death, is the inflation. Basically, I'm not even sure if it was the Cold War or something else. It was a war, right? And I think either in the U.S. or somewhere else, where they had a huge amount of inflation, where a lot of populations got lost. The others lost the war with the tanks. I think it was World War One, where they lost the war, and because of the fact that they had to pay the other country back for all the stuff they kept fucking up, by that I mean the cities, when you kind of nuke an innocent city, you kind of have to pay for the damages. So when they had to pay for that, and they were already in debt, they kind of started doing the thing where they print their own money, and just like with inflation, what was it called? The demand and the production thing.
Yeah.
The scale when it comes to money went so off the rails that people literally had to drag bricks of gold just to get one piece of bread. That's kind of the worst part, in my opinion.
Yeah, but
I mean, besides the death.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, because that way either side that loses gets fucked over because they literally have to either work out the debts of fixing the whole countryside, or get that inflation problem that leaves most people in the Black Age where it's like the plague type of situation, except the plague is money. They can't afford to pay any of the children off in a war zone situation, so everyone's fucked.
Okay, but let me just fact check you here. The country you're talking about is Germany after World War One, but you're mixing it up with Japan after World War Two, because nukes didn't exist until World War II.
Yeah, the thing is, I told you, I'm not very sure on which country. All I know is it had to do something with the U.S., and it was an inflation problem with their money, where they would literally have to print out so much money that the inflation price went so up that they couldn't afford any food or anything. I'm not sure which country lost the war. It had to do with something else.
And I think
it had to do with tanks when they first ever created, and one of them, because of so much money spent on building their army, they kind of went into debt when they lost the war. I forgot which one it was.
But anyway,
because remember, I don't know the history that much.
So yeah, Germany after World War One had very bad debt to all of the other countries that fought in the war, and they also had hyperinflation, where the inflation went so big that people were carrying large amounts of money to buy very small items. But in the end, I think a similar problem occurs even when there isn't hyperinflation. If you think about it this way, every time a country intentionally, artificially inflates its currency, it means that all the money that everybody has from that currency suddenly becomes less valuable.
Worthless. Yeah, it becomes worthless.
So
it's one of those situations where that's actually kind of the way where metal cash became a thing, because they printed so much paper money that they would literally use that as literal wallpaper rather than actually buying the real thing.
So the problem is that these places, they give the money to people, and then they immediately take it back by printing more. And that's, in many ways, a very dishonest practice.
Yeah, and stupid, because it just creates more problems than fixes any of them, really. It's actually just fixes nothing and doubles the payload of everything you already had. Reminds me of the politics of nowadays.
Yeah, but
everyone's arguing. Instead of fixing the problem, they just create new ones.
One of the last countries to switch over from a gold standard to a fiat system where it's all based on how much the government prints, it was Switzerland. And the reason they had to switch over is because everybody else's money was getting so inflated that the Swiss couldn't sell their goods to anybody else, because their currency was so valuable that other people couldn't afford their products. So they were trading at a loss because everybody else's currency was garbage. So they had to switch over.
All right. So let's switch from the depressing topics to fun topics. Come on, next question, I guess.
All right, next question. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue? Mine's black.
Blue.
Yeah.
Makes sense, okay.
Why?
Because of the logo.
The logo? Okay, fair enough. I guess, yeah, it does make sense. It is my favorite.
I mean, yeah, it's not like I'm going to say black because you're black or white, you know what I'm saying? I never really have any of those racist things. People just always assume that's the case. And I actually find that a bit offensive, because people are so quick to judge half the time that it makes people like me, who have no ill intent, have to work twice as hard just to fix up what every other trash person says.
All right. Next question. What is your favorite trash person?
What do you mean trash person? Like a shitty person?
Yeah.
I actually don't have a favorite one. I really don't. I don't have favorites of just about anything.
Yeah.
Mine are like based on numbers, like the top 10 type of situation, yes. But like favorites, nah, because when you come to favorite, you assume it's just one, and they can never pick one out of a bunch of them, so, you know.
All right. So next question then. What is your preferred types of food? What types of food do you like?
All of them.
All of them.
I eat like no one else. Well, I do like Mexican food, American food, and our food, but those are the three I try the most.
So
ours are Polish food. Basically the kind of stuff that are like very heavily very vegetarian heavy, you know? And farming type of food. So we usually have like baked potatoes, stews, and a bunch of other things. I do love some couscous, just gotta say, it's one of the best. But yeah, usually that. I like the American food, not the cancer stuff like beef sandwiches and stuff that gives you a heart attack. But I do love some, you know, good hot dogs and stuff like that. I do love tacos, even though I've never had them. And I want to, but I do love eating some tacos.
Wait. So
and some Chipotle.
You love tacos, but you've never had tacos?
I mean, don't get me wrong. We had something similar to tacos. It's called tortilla chips. or something similar. Just get a bunch of stews, put them in a tortilla roll, and that's basically the same as a bean burrito. But you get the idea, you know. Taco is not that different. That's why I love it, because if I love me some bean burritos, then I would love me some tacos. You know, they're not that different.
Yeah.
So I love them on the idea and probably the taste too, because they're so similar. It's the same from having a soft texture to having a rough texture, because that one's like eating Doritos, you know? And this one's like eating a tortilla because of the layer around the food, so, you know.
There's different philosophies as to how to make tacos. And, for example...
It's funny, I'm not even surprised at this point. Yeah, continue.
For example, one big difference is the preference for the type of tortilla that is used. There's the traditional corn tortilla, but there's also the wheat tortilla, which has a bit of a softer texture to it.
But aren't good for dogs.
No, it's just not good for my dog because my dog's allergic.
Okay. How do you actually find that out?
I guess...
If the dog's allergic to anything.
I don't know, but I guess it's something that you can find out. Just like anybody else you find out is allergic. Maybe you try some food one day and you have bad consequences, or perhaps there's a test.
Like Chipotle in the bathroom. Yeah, I got you.
Or perhaps there's a test someone does.
Yeah, because for me, I eat literally everything, yet either I have such a high immunity system that nothing bothers me, or I'm not allergic to anything yet. So maybe tacos, maybe one day, but so far, I'm not allergic to anything, so yeah. I'm kind of happy with that.
In my family, we generally use black beans for tacos and burritos. Hello? You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I'm just merely rocking.
Yeah, so it's interesting. We do something called a chilaquila, which is...
okay, now that sounds delicious.
It's similar to a taco, but what you do is...
Can you send me a picture, man? I'm kind of interested.
I don't have any picture on me right now of that. But,
damn it. I'm so excited about the food.
But you sort of make a taco, but then you fry it in egg. So it's got a layer of fried egg on it.
I know what you're talking about. I think I might have seen that before. We usually have those as toppings, like you top an egg of just about everything. But yeah, that sounds delicious.
So,
now that I think about it.
And if you do it right, the egg will have a bit of a spongy texture that's surrounding the tortilla.
Actually, funny thing is, we do have like burritos, right? But the egg is the thing you roll around the food, so not on top of it, you know? Like an egg burrito. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's called basically a tortilla, but you get the idea.
Yeah, so then I like to put hot sauce on that.
All right, so before all the viewers get hungry, or especially me, because the more we talk, the more I want to eat something. Yeah, so let's talk about something else.
All right.
Before I start eating everything.
All right. How much rain do you usually get where you live?
All of the rain.
All of the rain. So it's a...
Yes, I told you, the situation with the rain, where it's like all the way to the city. And it was just across the street, like in the other city nearby or the other side of the country. It's pretty rainy, just saying. I mean, here's the thing. We get so much rain, but we never get snow. Well, we get it outside of the country or outside of the countryside, but like never in the cities. Like there's no snowball fights.
And I know why that is, actually. I can explain that to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's because when there's large amounts of activity, a large group of people together, and there might be some vehicles involved, and there's electricity and all that, that produces heat, which means that the inner cities are warmer than the countryside, and therefore if it snows in the countryside, it might rain in the city. And I've actually personally experienced that. I used to live in Italy, and I was out in the countryside and it was snowing, and then I went into the inner city in Milan, an important city in Italy, Milano as they say it in Italian, and it was raining instead, and that's because of all the heat that all that activity does.
Accurate to what happened here. We get a lot of rain and a lot of like icy snow, like the one that's raining rocks that are ice, but they're like sugar packets or something. That kind of thing, where it's like raining rocks or something. But we don't get snow. But if you go outside the country where it's just the sun and no animals, just a bunch of wheat or farming, you find a lot of snow there. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so you're in one of the...
Funnily enough, never actually ice skated. Want to try that. Ice skating and dance battles. Those would be the best combination.
So you're in one
ice skating, dance battle.
So you're in one of the parts of the country where there's more vegetation?
Yeah. Remember, I said farm town.
Yeah.
There's a lot of farming and countryside people. People live in huts or normal cities or normal buildings, but more often than not, they have a lot of land. They do a lot of farming in. Because it's one of those situations where, unlike in the U.S., there's no such thing as McDonald's and shit. Most people literally just farm their own food and sell at a very low price. You get like a whole basket for $1, and it has all the different kind of fruits and veggies you can ever do. Most people do home cooking. They don't really go get burgers. The only people that do are the ones that love the burger but don't care about the excuse me. But they don't care about the heart attacks. But other than those, it's usually just farming stuff. Remember, the burritos, they're the best.
Interestingly enough...
I like chimichangas, but you get the idea.
Interestingly enough, in the U.S., there's a lot of people that do buy fresh produce and they cook at home, but there's also a lot of people that eat out a lot. And in fact, it turns out that the people that like to eat out more, they go to restaurants a lot, they end up usually being poorer than the people that cook. Oh, my phone's ringing. Just a moment. I
what the hell?
will pause the stream.